somewhere in the middle of a normal afternoon, a phone was recording something it was never supposed to catch. No trophy, no scoreboard, no press conference. Just a girl, alone with a song, completely unaware that in a few seconds her whole world was about to feel her watching. And when she turned around, when she realized the lens had found her, something happened on her face that you cannot fake, that you cannot rehearse, that no amount of media training could have prepared her for. That single second is where this story actually begins. But to understand why it hit so many people so hard, you have to go back further. To a version of Alex that almost nobody outside the Philippines had heard of yet. A teenager with a racket and a dream that felt, at the time, almost impossibly large. Because here is the thing nobody tells you about becoming famous. It does not happen all at once. It happens in small, quiet moments that only make sense later. Moments that feel completely unremarkable while they are happening. A junior tournament here. A practice session there. Nobody clapping. Nobody watching. Just Alex, again and again, doing the unglamorous work that never makes it into highlight reels. And if you had told her back then that one day a 10-second clip of her dancing would travel further than some of her actual matches, she probably would have laughed at you. But that is exactly what was coming. Slowly, quietly, and then all at once. Let's rewind to the moment everything changed, because it did not happen the way most people assume. There was no single dramatic trophy lift, no fireworks, no orchestrated announcement. It happened during a tournament in Miami in 2025, a place where careers are made and broken in the span of a single week, and Alex walked in as someone still trying to prove she belonged. Nobody was talking about her yet. Nobody was watching closely, and that is precisely why what happened next became so seismic. Match by match, she kept winning. Not lucky wins. Not close calls that could be explained away. Real, undeniable performances that forced people who had never said her name before to start saying it constantly. By the time that run ended, something had shifted permanently. She was no longer a name tennis insiders whispered about. She was a name the entire sport had to reckon with. But here is where it gets complicated, because success in sports is never as simple as it looks from the outside. The moment people start expecting you to win is the moment the pressure stops being external and starts living inside your own head. Before Miami, every victory was a bonus, a surprise, something nobody demanded from her. After Miami, every match became a test she was expected to pass. And that is a brutal kind of weight to carry, especially for someone still young enough that most of her peers were worrying about entirely different things. Imagine walking onto a court knowing that an entire country is quietly hoping you become the story they have been waiting decades for. Imagine that every single point, whether you win it or lose it, is being watched by people who have attached their own hope to your hands. Because that is what Alex represents now, whether she asked for it or not. In the Philippines, tennis has never produced a superstar of this magnitude before. Basketball has its legends. Boxing has had its icon. But tennis, for the longest time, was a sport people admired from a distance, something that happened somewhere else, to someone else. Alex broke that. In March of 2026, she reached a career high ranking of world number 29, the highest any Filipino had ever climbed in the history of the sport. Read that again. Not one of the highest ever. And when a single person becomes the first to do something an entire nation has been waiting generations for, the attention does not simply follow her matches anymore. It follows her everywhere. Her routines, her interviews, her friendships, her silence, her smile, her exhaustion. Everything becomes part of a story that is no longer just about tennis. So picture the schedule that comes with that kind of life. Wake up early. Train, recover, study film, train again, travel across time zones that scramble your body clock until you forget what day it actually is. Sit through interviews where the same questions get asked in slightly different words. Manage an entire team of people whose jobs depend on your performance. Step onto a court where a single mistake can be replayed in slow motion 1,000,000 times online. Then do it again tomorrow. And the day after that. There is no teammate to lean on when the pressure spikes mid-match. There is no substitution, no timeout that erases a bad set. It is just her, alone, with everyone watching to see if she cracks. Now hold that image in your head, because it matters for what comes next. Because in June of 2026, the pressure reached an entirely new level. Wimbledon. The most historic stage in tennis, a tournament dripping with tradition, where legends are made and where the crowd's silence can feel louder than any roar. Alex fought her way to the 4th round, another milestone that no Filipino woman had ever touched before her. Think about what that actually means. Every match at that stage is against players who have spent their entire lives on the biggest courts in the world. Every mistake gets magnified. Every point matters more than the last. And she kept climbing anyway, round after round, carrying not just her own ambition, but the hopes of millions who were staying up at strange hours just to watch her compete. Now here is where the story usually stops. Right at the highlight, right at the achievement, right at the moment everyone expects the credits to roll. But that is not actually the most revealing part of this journey. Because after the tournament ended, after the cameras stopped rolling on center court, after the interviews wrapped and the analysis pieces were written, something much smaller happened. Something that nobody scripted. Something that if you blinked, you would have missed entirely. She let go. Somewhere far from the tension of Wimbledon, Alex found herself at a Bad Bunny concert in Sweden, completely swept up in the music. Completely present in a way that competition rarely allows anyone to be. No racket, no scoreboard, no opponent studying her every move. Just sound and movement and the kind of freedom that only exists when nobody is grading your performance. And this was not the first time cameras had caught her like that either. Months earlier, during the 2025 Southeast Asian Games, footage had surfaced of her and her teammates singing and dancing together. Away from the courts, away from the intensity, just a group of young athletes being exactly what they still are underneath the rankings. Young. And that brings us back to the moment we opened with. The dance. The one where she thought nobody was watching. Because if you stack all of these moments together, the concert, the team sing-alongs, and now this. A quiet, unscripted dance caught on camera. A pattern starts to form. And it is not the pattern most people expect. This is not a story about an athlete hiding her true self behind a serious public mask. This is something stranger and more human than that. Both versions of her are real at the same time. The competitor who refuses to blink under Wimbledon pressure, and the young woman who forgets the entire world exists the second a good song comes on. Neither one cancels the other out, so let's stop describing it and just let it speak for itself. But let's slow down here. Because the reaction is the part that makes this clip impossible to look away from. Watch closely and you will see it. There is a moment, barely a heartbeat long, where she is completely lost in the movement, shoulders loose, totally unguarded. The kind of dancing that only happens when you are 100% certain nobody is watching. And then it hits her. The camera. The realization spreads across her face in real time, and suddenly the entire energy shifts. Comfort turns into surprise. Surprise turns into something between embarrassment and laughter. It is fast, it is involuntary, and it is completely achingly human. Why does that split second matter so much? Because we have all lived it. Maybe not in front of millions of strangers online, but we have all had that instant where we thought we were alone, singing badly in the car, dancing in the kitchen, talking to ourselves in the mirror, and then realized someone was watching the entire time. That universal jolt of, oh no, you saw that, is something every single viewer understands instantly. No translation required, no context needed. It does not matter if you have never picked up a tennis racket in your life. You know exactly what that feeling is. And for one brief moment, the gap between a world number 29 athlete and an ordinary person scrolling their phone completely disappears. But here is where the story gets heavier. And where we need to sit with something uncomfortable for a second. Because the more famous someone becomes, the more dangerous these tiny human moments start to feel for them. A private laugh can become a headline. A dance can become a discussion. A single unscripted second can be dissected, analyzed, remixed, and repeated until it means something the person never intended. That is the strange, almost cruel trade-off of modern fame. The same visibility that turns you into an inspiration also strips away your ability to have a truly private moment ever again. Every corner of the world can now potentially become a stage, whether you agreed to perform there or not. And that raises a question worth sitting with. What happens to a young athlete when even her downtime becomes public property? When relaxing has to be done with the awareness that a phone might be recording? There is a version of this story where that reality crushes someone, where the constant exposure turns every unguarded moment into a source of anxiety instead of relief. But watch her reaction again. There is no panic in it. There is no visible fear. There is embarrassment, sure, the universal kind, but underneath it there is also something closer to acceptance, almost amusement at her own predicament. As if some part of her already understands that this is simply the reality of the life she is building. And instead of resenting it, she is learning to exist inside it without losing herself. That distinction is enormous. And it is easy to miss if you only watch the clip once and move on. Because plenty of athletes reach this level of visibility and slowly disappear behind it, becoming polished, guarded, careful to the point of feeling almost artificial in public. Alex has not done that. Not yet, at least. And that refusal, intentional or not, might end up being one of the most important parts of her entire career. More important in some ways than the ranking itself. Now let's push the tension even further, because there is a bigger question hiding underneath all of this, one that most sports coverage never bothers to ask. What does it actually cost to carry an entire country's hope on your shoulders while you are still figuring out who you are as a person? Athletes do not arrive fully formed. They grow up in public, in real time, with every mistake and every awkward moment potentially becoming permanent digital record. Most people get to be embarrassing teenagers in private, with only a handful of witnesses and fading memories. Alex does not get that luxury anymore. Her growing up happens with an audience. And yet, here she is, still dancing when the music is good. Still letting herself get swept into a crowd at a concert. Still cracking up when her own teammates catch her off guard. Still human, in the middle of a career that increasingly demands she behave like something more than that. Every time footage like this surfaces, it does something quietly powerful. It reminds an entire country, and now an entire global audience, that the athlete they are cheering for is not a machine built purely to produce results. She gets tired. She gets excited. She gets caught off guard. She feels the same impulse anyone feels when a good song starts playing, the urge to move, to forget everything else for just a few seconds. Think about the emotional arc her fans have been on because of her. There was the excitement of Miami, watching an unknown climb into relevance almost overnight. Then the tension of every match afterward, wondering if she could sustain it or if it was a fluke. Then the disbelief of watching her become the highest-ranked Filipino in WTA history, a sentence that would have sounded absurd just a few years earlier. Then the nerves of Wimbledon, watching her navigate one of the most unforgiving stages in the sport. And now this. A tiny, glowing, unscripted piece of proof that somewhere underneath all of that pressure, there is still a young woman who forgets the world exists when a beat drops. That is not a small thing. That is the thing that turns admiration into genuine connection. Because trophies make people impressed. Moments like this make people invested. And there is a difference between the two that most sports narratives completely overlook. Impressed fans watch the scoreboard. Invested fans watch the person. They want to know what she is like when nobody is grading her. They want proof that the intensity they see on court does not consume everything else about her. So where does this leave us? With a young athlete standing at the exact crossroads where legendary careers either solidify or start to crack under their own weight. The matches will only get harder from here. The expectations will only get heavier. Every tournament from this point forward carries the added burden of history, of precedent, of an entire nation checking the score compulsively on their phones. That pressure is not going anywhere. If anything, it grows with every ranking point she gains, every round she survives, every record she breaks, but maybe, just maybe, The thing that allows her to survive that pressure long-term is not found in her training regimen or her match strategy at all. Maybe it is found in exactly the kind of moment we started with. The ability to lose herself completely in a song for a few seconds. The ability to laugh at herself the instant she realizes she has been caught. The ability to exist, even briefly, as just a person again instead of a symbol, a statistic, a headline waiting to be written. Athletes who lose that ability entirely tend to burn out. The ones who somehow protect it, even under enormous scrutiny, tend to last. And so we come back to where this all began. A phone recording something it was never meant to catch. A young woman completely lost in music, unaware that the camera had found her. And then that split-second flash of realization crossing her face, half surprise, half laughter, entirely real. It was never about the dance itself. It was about what that dance revealed. That behind the ranking, behind the record, behind the weight of an entire nation's expectations, there is still a person capable of forgetting all of it for a few unscripted seconds. That person is who fans fell for in the first place, long before the rankings, long before the milestones, long before anyone outside a small circle knew her name. The athlete is what made the world notice her. But moments like this, the ones nobody planned, the ones caught by accident, the ones she probably wishes had stayed private, are what make the world stay. And if her career keeps climbing the way it has, there will be bigger wins ahead, harder battles, higher stakes, and moments that make even more history. But somewhere between all of that, there will almost certainly be another unplanned second like this one. Another song, another camera she does not notice in time, another flash of pure, unfiltered humanity, breaking through the surface of a career that is rapidly becoming anything but ordinary. And when that moment comes, people will watch it the same way they watched this one. Not because it changes a single result on the scoreboard, but because for a few seconds it lets them see the person underneath the pressure. And that, more than any ranking, is what actually lasts.